All right, so you guys asked for it, and we're delivering. Buckle up.
Oh, yeah.
Because today we're taking a deep dive into some ancient wisdom, and you specifically requested this one.
Oh, great.
It's a fascinating one. We're going to be exploring the Yi Jing,
Okay.
and more specifically, the 35th hexagram known as Jin.
Ah, Jin, also known as progress or prospering.
Mm-hmm.
Very fitting choice for a deep dive, I'd say.
Absolutely. And with the Yi Jing, being a classic of Chinese philosophy,
Yes.
I'm really curious to see what kind of guidance this Jin has in store.
Well, I mean, for starters, the Yi Jing is structured around 64 hexagrams.
Right.
Each one is composed of 2 trigrams, representing different aspects of reality, different life situations.
Right.
And Jin is particularly interesting because of its unique combination.
Okay, break that down for me. What makes Jin's trigram so special?
Well, Jin is formed by fire over earth.
Okay.
So imagine the sun rising over the earth, bringing light and warmth and, the potential for growth. It's a powerful image, wouldn't you say?
It really is. You can almost feel that sense of optimism and forward movement just from the imagery alone.
Exactly. And that's at the heart of Jin, this idea of advancement progress, things moving in a positive direction.
Yeah.
Like a sunrise, it signifies a time of opportunity and growth.
Now, our sources also highlighted this beautiful Chinese phrase associated with Jin.
Right.
It paints a picture of a beautifully embroidered landscape,
Yes.
symbolizing the harmonious meeting of a good minister and a wise ruler.
Mm-hmm.
Are we talking about achieving political success here?
Well, that's certainly one layer of interpretation,
Oh.
especially given the historical context of the Yi Jing.
Mm-hmm.
But the beauty of this text is that it speaks to universal truths,
Right.
truths that transcend any specific time or place.
So how does this imagery of the minister and ruler translate to a broader message?
Yeah.
For, say, someone like me or our listener who may not be navigating the political landscape?
Yeah, think of it as a metaphor for any situation where sincere effort leads to success.
Mm-hmm.
It's about those times when you put in the work,
Yeah.
when you show up with integrity and dedication and things start to fall into place.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not just about ambition or striving for power.
Right.
It's about aligning your actions with your goals and working towards something meaningful.
Precisely. And speaking of putting in the work,
Yeah.
one of our sources included a proverb that captures this essence perfectly.
Okay. I don't speak Chinese, so break that down for me.
Sure.
What does that proverb mean?
It translates to, diligently weeding the field can attract unexpected wealth.
Okay.
In other words, consistent effort and attention to detail,
Uh-huh.
even in seemingly mundane tasks, can lead to surprising rewards.
So it's like saying, keep hustling, good things are coming.
It is reassuring, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a message I can get behind.
And in fact, Jin is considered quite a lucky hexagram. It suggests that your plans, especially those related to finances, are likely to go well.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, one detail in our sources threw me off a bit.
Oh.
It mentions Jin, implying being stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Right.
That doesn't exactly scream progress and good fortune to me.
That's a great observation.
Yeah.
And it highlights the nuance of the Yi Jing.
Okay.
Jin is not about a straight, unimpeded path to success.
Right.
It acknowledges that even during times of advancement, there can be challenges, obstacles that make you feel momentarily stuck.
So how do we reconcile that feeling of being stuck with the overall message of progress and growth that Jin embodies?
Think of it this way. Sometimes those moments where you feel stuck, where you're forced to pause and reevaluate, are actually essential for your growth.
Okay.
They can lead you to unexpected insights or force you to develop resilience and resourcefulness.
So it's not necessarily a bad thing to feel stuck?
Not at all. In fact, the source that mentions feeling stuck also introduces a powerful image. AL1.
Okay, more Chinese. I'm sensing a theme here.
Mm-hmm.
What does that phrase mean?
It translates to clouds parting to reveal the sun.
Okay.
It's a reminder that even when things feel difficult, when it seems like your progress is blocked, there's always a possibility of breakthrough.
Okay.
A chance for the clouds to clear and the sun to shine through again.
That's a beautiful image.
Yeah.
I can definitely relate to those moments when it feels like everything is suddenly falling into place after a period of uncertainty.
Exactly. And for you, listening to this, Jin might be a sign that you're on the verge of just such a breakthrough.
Oh, wow.
Especially if you've been putting in the effort tending to your metaphorical field.
Now, along with those broader themes, I noticed that our sources also highlighted some very specific advice associated with Jin. For example, one detail that really jumped out at me was about retrieving lost items.
Ah, yes. The Yi Jing is full of these intriguing, cryptic details. Yeah. It mentions that lost items can be retrieved quickly. They may be hidden in something like a box on the ground.
That level of detail is so specific. It almost feels like a treasure hunt clue.
It certainly sparks the imagination.
It does.
And while the Yi Jing isn't about literal treasure hunts, this detail might be reminding us to be observant and resourceful during times of progress, to pay attention to the seemingly insignificant details that might hold the key to what we're seeking.
Okay, so it's more about being open to unexpected solutions or opportunities that might present themselves along the way.
Exactly. It's about trusting that even when things feel lost or uncertain, the answers we need are often closer than we think.
Another piece of advice that caught my eye was related to health.
Okay.
The source says, those with long-term illnesses to be cautious, while recent illnesses are not of concern.
Right.
Should we be taking this as literal medical advice, or is there something more symbolic at play here?
That's a great question. And it's important to remember that the Yi Jing is not a substitute for medical advice. It's about understanding patterns and tendencies, not providing diagnoses.
So how should we interpret this health advice within the context of Jin?
Think of it this way. Jin is all about upward movement, like the rising sun.
Yeah.
It's a time of growth and expansion.
Right.
And during times of growth, it's natural that long-standing issues might require extra care and attention.
So it's like saying if you're already dealing with something, don't push yourself too hard during a period of intense growth.
Exactly. It's about being mindful of your limits and recognizing that sustainable progress sometimes requires pacing yourself.
And what about the part about recent illnesses not being a concern?
Yeah.
How does that fit in?
Well, minor setbacks and temporary challenges are a natural part of any journey.
Right.
And within the context of Jin, these recent illnesses might represent those minor bumps in the road. They're not seen as major obstacles, but rather temporary inconveniences that you can overcome as you continue to move forward.
Yeah, makes sense. It's like saying, don't sweat the small stuff, keep your eye on the bigger picture.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And speaking of the bigger picture, the source also specifically mentions paying attention to stomach, intestinal, and heart health.
Okay, so is this a literal recommendation to eat more fiber and get your heart rate up?
Chuckles.
Or is there a deeper meaning behind these specific organs?
Remember, Jin is all about balance.
Yeah.
Fire representing action and energy, balanced by earth representing stability and groundedness.
So these specific organs might symbolize the need for balance within our physical bodies.
Exactly. The stomach and intestines relate to our ability to nourish ourselves, to take in and process what we need to sustain our growth.
Right.
And the heart, of course, is the center of our emotional well-being,
Yeah.
our capacity for love and connection.
So it's a reminder to not just focus on external achievements,
Right.
but also to nurture our internal world.
Precisely. To make sure that our physical,
Yeah.
emotional, and spiritual needs are being met as we move forward on our journey.
All right, I'm really starting to see how all of these pieces fit together.
Good.
And speaking of things fitting together,
Yeah.
let's dive into the advice Jin has for our love lives.
Ah, yes, the realm of relationships.
Yes.
One of our sources mentions that in matters of the heart, Jin assures success with a gentle and compliant attitude.
Okay, I'm a little hesitant about that compliant part.
Chuckles.
Does this mean we should just say yes to everything our partner wants?
Not quite. Remember, Jin emphasizes harmony.
Yeah.
A gentle approach doesn't mean being passive or submissive.
Right.
It's about approaching relationships with sincerity,
Okay.
understanding, and a willingness to compromise.
So it's more about being open to collaboration and finding solutions that work for both partners.
Exactly. It's about creating a dynamic where both individuals feel heard, respected, and supported.
That makes a lot more sense. And it actually ties back nicely to that imagery of the good minister and wise ruler.
Right.
It's not about one person being in charge. It's about mutual respect and working towards shared goals.
Precisely. Successful partnerships,
Yeah.
whether romantic or otherwise, thrive on that sense of shared purpose and mutual understanding.
And before we jump into the individual lines of Jen,
Yeah.
I have to mention one last detail that caught my eye.
Okay.
It mentions that lawsuits will be resolved satisfactorily.
Ah,
It seems like this hexagram is full of positive outcomes.
It does suggest a generally favorable atmosphere for resolving conflicts and overcoming obstacles. It speaks to the power of clear communication, a willingness to compromise, and a focus on finding solutions that benefit everyone involved.
Okay, so it's not necessarily about winning or losing. It's about finding a resolution that restores harmony and balance.
Exactly. And that brings us to the heart of Jin. The idea that progress, true progress, is not just about individual achievement. It's about creating a world where everyone can thrive.
Wow.
And where conflicts are resolved in a way that benefits the collective good.
Now, I know we could spend hours unpacking each line of this hexagram.
We could.
But I want to give our listener a taste of how these lines add another layer of nuance to Jin's message.
They do.
Each line represents a different stage of progress within the overall situation described by the hexagram. Some lines might highlight potential pitfalls to avoid, while others offer encouragement and guidance. And I'm curious to see how these individual lines, with their specific imagery and advice, play into that bigger picture of progress and harmony that Jin represents.
Well, then, shall we dive into the first line?
Let's do it. I'm ready to uncover the wisdom hidden within those lines.
Okay, so let's take a look at the first line of Jin. Progress. The powerful prince is honored with horses in large numbers. In the course of the day, 3 times, presents are made to him. Quite the auspicious start.
It really does sound like someone is off to a good start. Horses, presents, a powerful prince, and all feels very abundant and celebratory.
It does, doesn't it? And it speaks to the idea that when we align ourselves with the energy of Jin, when we embrace the spirit of progress and sincere effort, we often find ourselves being recognized and rewarded for our actions.
But remember earlier we were talking about how Jin hints at being stuck between a rock and a hard place. How does this image of a successful prince receiving gifts square with that idea?
Excellent point. Remember, each line represents a different stage of the journey Jin lays out. The feeling of being stuck might be reflected in later lines, even within a hexagram that generally signifies progress.
So the first line is like setting the stage, showing us that initial momentum and the potential for success. Then the other lines reveal the potential challenges and opportunities that arise as we move forward.
Precisely. It's like a map that shows us not only the destination, but also the diverse terrain we might encounter along the way.
Okay, I'm starting to see how these individual lines add layers of complexity to the overall message of Jin. What about the second line? What wisdom does that hold?
The second line reads, 6 at the beginning, progressing, but turned back, good fortune, no blame. A bit more complicated than the first line.
Definitely. We have this image of moving forward, then being pulled back. It suggests a change of plans, maybe even a temporary setback.
Exactly. It's like starting down a path only to realize it's not the right one for you.
But it also says good fortune and no blame. So it's not necessarily a negative experience.
Right. It's more like a redirection, a course correction. The Yi Jing often emphasizes that detours and delays can ultimately lead us to a better path, even if they feel frustrating in the moment.
Okay, that's reassuring. Sometimes those unexpected turns can be blessings in disguise. What about the third line? What does that add to our understanding of Jin?
The third line reads, 6 in the second place. Progressing, but in sorrow good fortune. Receive this as a blessing from your mother.
This one feels a bit more emotionally charged. We still have that sense of progress, but now there's sorrow mixed in.
This line is particularly interesting because it acknowledges the emotional complexity of progress. Sometimes, even when we're moving towards something positive, we might experience sadness or a sense of loss along the way.
I can definitely relate to that. Sometimes leaving a familiar situation behind, even if it's ultimately for the best, can still be bittersweet.
Exactly. And the mention of receiving this experience as a blessing from your mother suggests seeking comfort and support during times of transition.
That's a beautiful way to look at it. It's like saying even when things are tough, there's always a source of love and strength to draw upon. Whether it's a literal mother figure or simply a reminder to nurture ourselves and seek support from those we trust.
Well said. And this reminds me of the image we discussed earlier. Clouds parting to reveal the sun. Even when we're in the midst of those clouds, those challenging moments, there's a promise of breakthrough and clarity on the horizon. And often it's through those challenging experiences that we grow the most.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm ready for line 4. What new insights does that bring to the table?
Line 4 reads, 6 in the third place. All are in accord. Remorse disappears. This one feels lighter, full of a sense of resolution and alignment.
All are in accord definitely suggests a sense of harmony and collaboration. And the disappearance of remorse implies that past mistakes or regrets are no longer holding us back.
Exactly. It's like everyone is finally on the same page, working together towards a common goal, and the sense of guilt or regret that might have been weighing us down has lifted, allowing us to move forward with a clear conscience.
That's such a powerful feeling, to be free from the burden of the past and fully present in the moment. All right, what about line 5? What guidance does that offer?
Line 5 states, 9 in the 4th place, progress like a giant rat. Perseverance brings danger. This one takes a bit of a turn.
Progress like a giant rat. That sounds a little frantic, maybe even a bit reckless. And to say perseverance brings danger seems almost like a warning.
It is a cautionary note within the overall message of progress. Even when things are moving in a positive direction, Jin reminds us to proceed with awareness and avoid recklessness.
So even though we saw that sense of harmony and alignment in the previous line, this one reminds us that things can still go wrong if we're not careful.
Precisely. It's a reminder that balance and wisdom are essential, even when things seem to be going our way. It's about channeling that forward momentum in a way that is sustainable and doesn't lead to burnout or unintended consequences.
So even when we're feeling that drive to push forward, Jin is reminding us to stay grounded and make sure our actions are aligned with our long-term goals.
Exactly. It's about being both ambitious and discerning, ensuring that our pursuit of progress doesn't come at the expense of our well-being or the well-being of others.
Okay, I'm seeing how each line adds a new layer of complexity and nuance to the overall message of Jin. What about line 6? What guidance does that bring to our journey?
Line 6 reads, 6 in the 5th place, regret vanishes. If one loses something, do not worry. Going forward is auspicious. There is nothing not beneficial. Quite a mouthful.
It's packed with reassurance. I especially love that part about going forward is auspicious. There is nothing not beneficial. It's like saying, trust the journey, even when it throws you curveballs.
It is a powerful message of resilience, isn't it? Yeah. Even if we experience loss or make mistakes along the way, Jin assures us that continuing to move forward with a clear conscience is the best course of action.
It's a reminder that setbacks and failures are not the end of the story. They're simply opportunities to learn, adjust our course, and keep moving toward what truly matters.
Exactly. And the fact that this line comes near the end of the hexagram suggests that this perspective is essential for navigating the final stages of progress. It's about holding on to that sense of hope and possibility even when things get tough.
Okay, we've reached the final line of Jin. What wisdom does it impart to us as we approach the culmination of our journey?
The final line reads, 9 at the top, making progress with the horns. Confront the town, harshness and mishap, bring good fortune, no blame. This one is quite intense.
It definitely feels like we've reached a point of culmination, maybe even a final push towards our goal. Making progress with the horns sounds forceful, almost aggressive.
It does, doesn't it? It suggests the need to be assertive and unwavering in our pursuit of what we desire.
And confront the town implies a direct challenge, a willingness to stand up for what we believe in, even if it means facing opposition.
Exactly. And what's intriguing is that even though this line mentions harshness and mishap, it still ends with good fortune and no blame.
So is it saying that sometimes a bit of tough love or even conflict can lead to a positive outcome? That we shouldn't shy away from difficult conversations or standing up for what's right, even if it creates some temporary discomfort?
That's certainly one way to interpret it. It might be suggesting that in the final stages of progress, we sometimes need to break free from old patterns, challenge limiting beliefs, and push ourselves beyond our comfort zones.
And perhaps those mishaps are just part of the process, like growing pains that ultimately lead to greater strength and resilience.
Exactly. The Yi Jing often reminds us that challenges and setbacks are not necessarily signs of failure, but rather opportunities for learning and growth.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground with these lines, each one offering a unique perspective on the nature of progress and the challenges and triumphs we might encounter along the way.
It's remarkable, isn't it, how much wisdom is packed into this single hexagram. And yeah, I feel like we've only scratched the surface.
Yeah, it's really remarkable. And for our listener, who maybe hasn't spent hours poring over the Yi Jing, what are the key takeaways here?
Well,
if Jin is our guiding star right now, what should we be paying attention to?
I think Jin is offering a powerful invitation to step into our power, to embrace those opportunities where we can really shine.
Yeah.
It's a time for trusting in our abilities, knowing that our efforts will bear fruit, especially if we've been diligently tending to our metaphorical field, putting in the work.
It's like Jin is saying, okay, you've been preparing, you've been laying the groundwork.
Yeah.
Now it's time to step into the spotlight.
Exactly. But it's not just about blind ambition or pushing forward at all costs. Remember that image of the giant rat from line 5?
Oh, right.
Jin also cautions us against letting impatience or recklessness derail our progress.
Right.
It's about staying grounded, focused, trusting the journey, even when it takes unexpected turns.
So balance is key.
Balance is key.
And it's not just about balancing, action and rest.
Right.
But also about taking care of ourselves holistically.
Yes.
Mind, body, and spirit.
Absolutely.
That's what true balance is all about.
That's what it's all about. And, as you move forward, remember that setbacks and challenges are inevitable.
Yeah, of course. They're not signs of failure, but rather opportunities for growth and learning.
Right.
Jin assures us that even if we make mistakes or experience loss, the most auspicious path is to keep moving forward with a clear conscience and a sense of purpose.
There's so much wisdom packed into this single hexagram. It's like a roadmap for navigating not just external success, but also inner peace and fulfillment.
It truly is. And as you reflect on the message of Jin, I'd invite you to consider this. What lost item might you be able to retrieve quickly if you looked in the right place? Remember that specific advice from Jin about lost things. Perhaps it's not a physical object, but rather a forgotten dream, a neglected talent, or even just a renewed sense of hope and possibility.
That's a beautiful way to frame it. It's a reminder that sometimes the answers we seek are closer than we think. We just need to shift our perspective, be open to new possibilities, and trust that the journey itself will guide us.
Well said. And with that, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into Jin. This has been such a fascinating exploration. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the wisdom of the Yi Jing. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep